Zest is in, where resilience begins, not fixing the cracks.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Zest is Zen with me, Shel Marie, the podcast that'll take you on a journey from the hustle to the harmony, fueling your passion whilst finding your peace. You are going to love my beautiful guest today. She is Elisha May. She's the founder of Freedom of Self. She's a transformational speaker, facilitator for high capacity professionals who have outgrown the life they built. I'm sure we'll explore that more. And she works beneath mindset and performance, guiding people back to an internal coherence by recalibrating identity, restoring nervous system balance, and rebuilding true internal authority. Wow. Her work supports those who look successful on the outside but feel a quiet internal misalignment, helping them move from pressure and overthinking into clarity, grounded leadership, and aligned living. I'm sure that in this conversation we will explore what it really means to outgrow yourself and then rebuild from the inside out, which I love talking about. If you feel called, please share a little love by subscribing to this episode, to this podcast. It's not just this episode, many more episodes. It helps reach many more hearts and minds, and it costs you absolutely nothing. So if you have done so already, thank you. And may this episode bring you the clarity, grounding, and a deep sense of inner authority. Love. Welcome, Elisha.
Hi, Shel. Thanks for having me. Really excited to be here. Yeah.
You're very welcome. So something I always love to ask on the podcast before we get into the nitty-gritty of all the incredible transformation you're creating in so many people's lives right now, I always love us to go back. I'm always intrigued by what led you up to the point you're at today. And I know often it's not always a one thing, it could be multiple things, which I'm sure you'll express. So yeah, I'd just love to know a little bit about you, as far back as you want to go, and your journey so far.
Yeah, it's a messy one. it's a long one.
We have linear. Time, don't worry. Everybody get ready, get your snack, get your drink. We're ready.
So yeah, there's, like you said, there's been so many moments. So I was aware when I was a very small child at the age of sort of 3, 4, 5, that there was this sort of energetic, I didn't have words for it at the time, but I knew there was this energetic thing in my body, and it would sort of speak to me, and it would sort of guide me, and it was like a best friend. And then sometimes it would get me into trouble, and then sometimes it wouldn't. And then as the years went by, I was about 11 years old, and an energy healer said to me, sadly, he ended up killing himself, which was really, really sad. He said to me, "You've got healing powers." And I was like, yeah, I do. I do feel different. I feel like I'm here to do big things for people. And at a very similar age.
Did you say that was at 11? 11?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just felt like that was really
fine.
key. 11.
Fine.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Please continue.
Yeah. So I knew I had these healing abilities, but when you're 11 and you live near Glastonbury, you're there going, well, what do I do with this? Do I move to Glastonbury where there's all those hippies? It's like, but I don't want to do that. And then at the same time, I actually realized I was entrepreneurial at 11, and I don't know if you remember watching Blue Peter, but I loved Blue Peter.
I always wanted one of those little badges. So I just thought that they'd send them in the post.
Yeah, I got 2 of them. I was so happy. I got
one for you and one for me. See, this is why we met today.
Yeah, I got a white one and a blue one. I always wanted the green one and then the gold one, but then I grew up and it didn't happen.
I love the way I only thought there was one. I was just happy with one, and you knew all the different colours. You were, definitely expanding. Anyway, I know there's some people probably listening right now. Blue Peter, what
the hell? About? Yeah. It's all or nothing. It's all or nothing. I want it all or nothing at all. And so I loved this idea of organising something, of making money for charity, for good causes. And I was like, I like this. Wow. But again, you're 11, you're young. And
no capping. We're not going to do the ageism, but yeah.
It's more that you're 11 and you're still in the institution. You're still restricted, you know, especially back in the 90s. We were so restricted in the 90s. And so it was like, well, what do I do with any of this? And it's like, I had to go to secondary school, do life. Anyway, fast forward a bit. I tried everything. I did an art degree. I worked with animals. I did several jobs. I was always looking for the next thing. I was never satiated enough with anything. And I knew I was very spiritual. I was very intuitive. My late brother was kind of my real life guardian angel. He got me massively into spiritual stuff. I remember I was 14 and I read my dad's book of witchcraft and I loved it. I was like, oh, I like this witchcraft. Like, I want one of them. Candles, scents, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so I just was sort of nurturing that side of me, but she was never let out because she wasn't always well received. And then the years go by and I try so many jobs and I broke up with somebody who was my sort of best friend. We dated for a couple of years. And then I realized, like, bless him, he'd actually suffocated me. I'd suffocated myself within the relationship because it takes two to tango. It takes two to tango. And so we broke up and I just had this liberation feeling of like, oh my God, I want to live life again. Like, and so I got a motorbike license. I decided, fuck it, I'm going to go to Africa and meet my pen pal. Wow. That was crazy. And then I came back.
Already those global links.
And then I was working in Bath and I was like, I was itchy, had itchy feet, you know, like we were saying earlier about I'm very nomadic. I love exploring. I just love getting out there and exploring. And so I came back, then I decided, right, what's next? And I was about 24 and I thought, what have I always wanted to do? And I felt like the world was my oyster. And I thought, I'm young, I don't need to sort of like settle down yet. Let's enjoy youthfulness. And so I decided to go to America. This is a very long story, so I'm just going to give you the facts.
No, honestly,
I went to, seriously,
feel free to share what you need to share.
We might be here all day. But I ended up going
Part
to...
two, incoming!
Yeah. Chapter 10. So I went to New York and I nannied for 9 months under a very narcissistic, abusive woman. I then came back. I literally escaped. That, again, it's a whole conversation in and of itself. And one morning after 3 nights of no sleep, I decided I've got to leave. So I walked out and she literally was chasing me down the street.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was a whole, experience. And I knew I had PTSD, but the thought of admitting that was like, no, you can't. You've not been in a war zone. Like, you haven't been shot at. Like, don't be so stupid. Just get up, brush yourself off and just do life. But for that first week, I couldn't leave the house. I was absolutely ridiculed with PTSD. I couldn't leave the house with my parents. Then the second week, and I'm 24, 25, and that second week was like, I've got to just get myself out there. So I just put on a backpack and I just started walking. Wow. And I would just walk for a few hours, come home. Anyway, then we'll skip a bit. Then I was in survival mode and I didn't realize I was in survival mode at this point. None of that PTSD had been worked through. None of that trauma had been processed. So I was still carrying it. And I felt lost. I felt confused. And I thought, I need to do something, right? What's next? And I decided to go to the French Alps. So I went to the French Alps.
Wow.
And to work, and was there for a couple of months, got really, really sick and realized I'm not good sharing space with people, got really, really sick with laryngitis and tonsillitis, had to fly back. 2 weeks later, again, the universe times everything. 2 weeks later, my mum has, for me, my first psychosis that I witnessed of hers, but it was her third psychosis. Fucking brutal. Just spectacular in the worst imaginable way you could possibly imagine, seeing your loved one completely just not there and behaving in ways that are just not normal. Anyway, that was really, really traumatic. Then even though my mum wasn't completely well, she was back home and my parents were like, go back to New York, have that time off that you were going to have, because I was going to travel at the end of it. They said, go back for 3 months, just max out and I was like, I don't feel comfortable leaving everybody while we're sort of a fragile family. And my brother and I, meanwhile, you know, we're best mates. We hang out, we talk about everything, we share movies, songs, everything, spiritual stuff. And he would always fry me because he would go so deep and so out there. And I'm like, whoa, dude, like, let's bring it back to the 3D world. And just adored him, as still do. And then I decided to go to America for 3 months, had a wonderful time with my friends that I made over there, and that was great. And then I had the weirdest experience the day before I was due to fly back, or the night before I flew back. Again, I was deeply spiritual and intuitive and was very much listening to my body. And I was sat on my friend's porch. It was dead quiet. I was waiting for a guy to pick me up for a date, this lovely, lovely man. And I'm sat there quietly, and my brother and I had been texting a lot, and I knew he wasn't quite right. I knew he'd been a bit stressed, but I just thought it was normal. You know, I'll be back tomorrow. We can sort everything out then. But he'd said over 3 months, like, I really miss you. And I thought, this is a bit more than last time. This is just a little bit more than last time. But I know mum isn't right, and my dad. So, like, maybe he's feeling the stress and pressure of it all. I go to ring him, and something just says, leave him be. And it was like this voice. And I just was like, what was, hang on, am I imagining that? And because I trusted these things, I trusted the universe and all that kind of stuff, I just trusted it. And I thought, and in my body, it was almost like something just physically was stopping me from contacting him. It was such a bizarre experience. I didn't think anything of it. I went on my date. Then I came home, went to sleep, woke up, and had a lot of missed calls from my dad and messages, rang my dad, and he died that night. He'd killed himself. So that was that point. So my life had been kind of like chapter 1. That was chapter 1 of my life up to 26. Then I go through another chapter over the last 14 years. And I think I'm about to enter chapter 3, and something very big, I think, is on its way. And
no, darling, no.
Sorry, I know. Yeah. And so he died. And the irony is he'd spent weeks, months telling me we were very much like, yeah, live from the heart. You got to live from the heart, all that kind of stuff. And we were. And the way he killed himself was stabbing himself in his heart. And so that was just beyond. And instead of me spending the next 7 years living from my heart, I just lived from my head, because I felt that day, for a good couple of days, I can only describe it as a fragmentation process in my body. So I'd had lots of energetic experiences up to that point, where I've expanded outside of my body and energized. And my brother used to say, like, you're really sensitive, you're like a nuclear reactor and things like that. And so when he died, I just felt this fragmentation process, and I just felt a splitting of myself. And so sadly, I was in survival mode for a good 7 years, dated the wrong guys, ended up trying several businesses. I had a successful beauty therapy business. I've still got a few clients now, but that's coming to an end. But I was co-running a business. I was running 2 businesses, working 6-7 days a week. And every now and then I'd get honest with myself, and it's like, am I happy? No, but what the hell do I do? How do I get from this life to that life? And something always said to me, like, bide your time, just take your time, like, it's gonna come, just keep going, we've got a plan for you, just keep fucking going. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna keep going. And then life intervened seven years ago, and I separated from that guy permanently this time. And also, I just want to add that after my brother died, I was drinking myself to sleep for about 8 or 9 months, because I was so traumatized. I couldn't sleep. I was so traumatized. And then went on to antidepressants, because I was like, well, that's the lesser of 2 evils. Then I got myself off the antidepressants, and that's when it started. I think this was 2018. And I just started coming back to myself. Just again, I was coming back into my body. I was beginning to trust myself again. And it's like, right, we've got to get ourselves out of this. And I was like, I don't know how to. I had nobody to help me. I didn't have any mentors at the time. And I was like, I've got to get myself out of this. So anyway, step by step, I moved back at 32 to my parents in their annex, which I'm in currently while I'm traveling. I come back and forth all the time. And so that was 7 years ago. And that first year, for me, those 3 months, first months of COVID were a blessing. To have that guilt-free time off, to go into nature and just walk and find myself again. And then again, that still wasn't it. I still had to go through all these initiations. And because of my design as an energy worker, I'm constantly going through death and rebirth, as you know, death and rebirth, constant shedding of old identities and false selves. And so it's just been a very, very long journey over the last 7 years. And then, 2 or 3, I think it was about 3 years ago, that's when sort of freedom of self was birthed. This idea of, it's the liberation of the self.
Wow.
It's total reconnection and liberation from the self. So that's my story. It's a bit long. That's my story.
No, it's not a story, it's your life. And really, thank you so much for expressing all that. And I know, just by the way you shared it, how much I don't like using the word work, but how much you have really transformed from that freedom of self. How more appropriate. And I know you touched on it briefly, but not briefly, but I mean talking it. I feel so. Would you say you're very connected still to your brother? Because I just feel
my
that's
God,
really important.
Yeah, and as you've just said that, I've just gone all tingly. So that's the confirmation.
Yeah.
And it's what's funny is when those first few years, you're holding on to everything. You're holding on to their stuff. You're holding on to their memories, their laughter, their smile, everything. Oh my God, the ifs, whens, shoulds, all of that stuff. And, I myself was very suicidal after he went because the emotional pain was just too much.
Yeah.
And so as I've become more connected with myself, the connection I have with him energetically has increased. And the things that are coming about in my life at the moment, I think he's my person. It's funny how my brother's been coming through at the exact same time. And it's just, this guy reminds me so much of my brother in that they're the same age. And he's the grounded masculine. My brother was this grounded, safe masculine. And I haven't had that for 14 years. Beautiful. And so it's just, I just feel like my brother's around me at the moment, just saying, just keep going, trust this process, trust this process. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I just feel like for some people listening, like that would just give them that, because I feel like, obviously we're here to celebrate you and all that you're creating and how people can contact you. But equally, I think through what we share, there's little transformational gems at all different points for all different people at all different journeys. And someone just even having that, that belief that they're not just making something up, that what they feel is real. Because I'm also thinking into some of what you said as well, and like, please correct me if I'm not saying it right, but I can imagine that all that you almost knew about yourself and felt up to that point as well, of hearing the don't contact him. Well, I know it wasn't don't contact him, but what you heard,
it was leave him be. Him be.
It must have really made you go, why have I been listening to this inner whatever it is? How dare? And I don't know, I just feel like that would have been a very
that was huge. And I remember cursing the universe, spirituality, God, source, like you name it. I thought, how fucking dare you? You let me down. I was going to call him. You knew I was going to call him. You said, leave him be. I fucking trusted you because I've trusted you for 26 years and you took him away from me. And so that's what I was so like, Shel, to say I was angry doesn't even cover it. I was beyond angry
And
beyond.
so when I think back to even, you know, the way I introduced you, and going back to now, the present now of internal, and really trusting that internal, and you particularly use authority, which is a very powerful word, I think, that really, really shows like that point to that point. And as we know, it's not always a linear destination, but oh my goodness, wow, that really shows. And if you can do that, I just feel like someone listening, you know, because we hear this so much, and we have that faith, or we don't even have it to start with. So I was almost the opposite, and I didn't have anything you know, everything was external to me, and everything was so chaotic within that I found that the other way, you know, of like, oh wow, so, you know, what you see outward is what you generate inward to start with. So I don't know, I just really felt like that was really important to highlight from just making the links of what you've expressed so far.
It means a lot, because this isn't to brag about myself and say, hey, look at me, I've been through the worst thing. That's not what I'm saying. It's just what I've experienced over.
It doesn't come across that way at all, by the way.
Thank you. It's just so many stories are disconnect, they get connected, and they become themselves. Mine wasn't that. I was connected, got disconnected, and then it took me years to connect myself again. And to date, I've never read a book, come across anybody that has had the story where they were connected, they got disconnected, and they had to go through their own underworld to then become and reconnect and what's the word I want? Where you're nurturing a relationship again.
Remember,
it's like it was over. I had that thing. I had that relationship, and it was so strong, so strong. Then we got disconnected, and then I've had to painfully reconnect it, and it's not been easy. And this is why I'm so passionate about what I do, and why I'm good at what I do, is because if I can go through that, I can do that with anybody.
Absolutely.
And I can reconnect anybody, no problem. As long as they want it badly enough, I can do it.
Beautiful. And even in that in itself, you know, someone just listens to that and takes that like, not that that's what you planned, but what a testimonial to yourself. And you know what? Actually, yes, you deserve to express it that way, because I think sometimes, particularly with our words, and I'm sure you're aware of this as well, there is a part of like, is it, if you want to call it the ego, is it this? But you know, deep down, express your truth. And so like, even when you were saying, I think, no, you know that this is a transformational chapter of your life. You know that. That's not ego. That is truth. Freedom.
Yeah.
Back to your freedom of self. And that's the thing, is more than that. There's the knowing and the declaring, but equally the action as well. So of course, if you're going to take in an action that's going to give you some lessons, that's a part of your journey, you know, and continue. But if you're coming from a place of love, compassion, humility, service to others, which I believe you are, then no, absolutely declare what you feel and know within you. You deserve it. And I'm so happy to hear that you're, I don't know if he's your new love or whatever, but it's just beautiful. What a beautiful, just alignment. How beautiful.
Yeah. But this is the thing, it's what's coming through with what's happening with this chap that's in my energy field, and we haven't met yet. But you know this work. When somebody's in your energy field, they don't need to be physically there, because the activation happens. Right. Exactly. And whether he becomes something more, I don't know. Only reality will show me that. But I'm very, very confident, because all the data that I'm picking up, and I'm going to give you a story in a minute, all the data that's coming through, I'm there going, shit, this is how I've been feeling since I was 15. For 25 years, I've had this sensation in my body that I've been carrying around how I expect to be treated and felt in my body by my husband. And this guy at the moment is activating those feelings. And the fact that my brother's coming through, so many things are in alignment. What I went through at the Peak District, I'm like, hang on a minute, shifts are happening. And when I've looked at my astrology, I did my tarot, like magic, and even in my body, there's this knowing of, I'm going to Devon in a couple of days. I'm going to be there for 2 weeks. That's when we're going to meet. And I was like, I have a sneaky feeling I'm about to step into another level of my dream life. And the other day, this is a little story, the other day, and it's quite funny, I shouldn't be saying this because I haven't even met him, but when you kind of like, you get this knowing, you're like, do you know what, I'm just going to trust this knowing right now.
Yeah.
And because I had a catalyst last year, so that gave me all the data I needed from the twin flame catalyst of like, that's dysregulation chemistry, like that's not good. This is grounded, this is nourishing, it's activating, but it's grounding, and I feel expansive. So anyway, the other day, and I did my tarot because I was like, have I remembered this right? So this was years ago. This was either before my brother died or just after. And I went to a tarot reader, and she said, I said, when do I meet my husband? You know, I want to know when I meet my husband. You know, I'm in my 20s. And she says to me, and I remember her saying, you meet him later on. It's somebody you already know. And she's like, I see snow and I see mountains. Maybe he's a skier, but she says, I see snow and I see mountains. This guy is an Arctic explorer and an international mountain leader.
You can't write it, can you? You can't write it.
Right. and we're getting to know each other over messages on WhatsApp for about 5 weeks now, 5 or 6 weeks. We tried to, this is the thing, the universe knows. We were going to meet 5-6 weeks ago. It was, oh God, honestly, I love life. It's fucking magical at times. And trust me, I've not always felt this way. But when you're in,
beautiful.
It is magical.
It is.
I've been on Hinge twice. I was on Hinge 2 years ago, went back on it a couple of months ago.
Just to pause you, just that, I'm just imagining, like, because I have a very diverse audience of like, just making notes of twin flame, Hinge.
Mountain man.
What else was it? Blue Peter.
yeah. Brother killed himself. Mother psychosis. No. Like, who is this woman?
No.
She's had it all. I've had it all. But I'm happy that I've had it all, because do you know what? And I'll come back to my thing in a minute. When you've experienced every length and breadth of the human experience, that's living.
And
that's being alive.
You're in the position that you're in now, so that you can actually not just open a book, and it's nothing to anybody that you know has learned what they've learned through a course or whatever it is, and it's not equally saying that we should go through what we go through, but equally you're in the position that you're in right now because you can actually relate and understand how someone else is feeling. And that is something that you cannot study. You cannot read a book about.
Yeah, and this has been my frustration for years, is that I've tried coaches and mentors, and my first mentor 6-7 years ago, to be fair to him, he saw me for who I was, and I was like, oh, this is new. But other subsequent ones I've had, I'm like, I can feel in my body. I'm like, no, they can't feel me. It's like they've read about it. Oh, I've got a degree in psychology. I've got a degree in this. And I'm like, yeah, you still haven't walked the walk. And I know that you can't walk me through it. And I know why I can do what I can do for people, because I've walked it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. When you've walked the walk, you can. So 5 weeks ago, going back to it, we were going to meet, and the universe, and I was like, I don't know if we're meant to meet before he goes, because he's like, I'm off to Africa, as you do. And then I'm like, well, I'm up north. And then we tried to meet.
But even, just sorry to interrupt, but even you saying that, I don't know if, well, you already just answered, you knew you weren't going to meet.
I know. It was like
we tell
the human self.
ourselves the answer without knowing.
I know. But the human self was like, I really want to meet him because we won't see each other for a month. So my human self's like, I want to meet him, but then my higher self is like, girl, you don't meet this guy yet. This needs nurturing. So we don't meet. Logistics get involved and we don't meet. And as the weeks have gone on, we send these sporadic messages every 2 or 3, 4 days, and they've just been growing and growing. Beautiful. And growing. And I said to him the other day, he's like, oh, it's going to be so much easier when we meet up in person. We can have a good old catch up and get to know each other.
And I said, it sounds like you feel like you already know each other now, you know? How beautiful.
He keeps saying like catch up and stuff. And I was like, dude, I've not even met you. But he, oh, that's right. Let me go back. So it was on Hinge. That's it. I'd been messaging, interacting with lots of men, and I got to the point about 5-6 weeks ago, and I just went, oh, not again, universe. Like my body was like, oh, I'm done with this. Like, give me my goddamn husband, or just somebody with a high caliber that's going to meet me. Within 24 hours, this guy messages me, and I was like, thank you, manifestation.
Wow.
And when I read his first message, it was everything I'd said a week before to a friend. That's what I expect from my future husband. That's the sort of message I expect. And when I read it, my body, and again, we've got to live from the body. All the data is in the body. And it just went, finally, there you are. I was like, ooh, this is interesting. Beautiful. So anyway, but yeah, so he's potentially my mountain man, and we'll soon find out.
Beautiful. And just think about the viewers now, because I think, you know, rather than, because I think some people would get lost in it, we're just now storytelling when we're really not, when you read into it. I feel like what you've just expressed is that inner knowing, that inner authority. And I think if we take aside the hinge and the romance and all that stuff, and really make it tangible for everybody of whatever it is you're feeling inside, that inner knowing. So I would just love for you now to just kind of take what you've just shared, but on a larger scale of a way that the audience could understand and apply that to their own lives. Just to give them that like.
Yeah, and this is the thing, it's funny enough, literally the last couple of days I've been thinking I need to start writing a blog about this, is this idea that as kids we live from the body. We're very instinctual as kids, right? We know what we want. At a very young age, we know what we want and what we don't want, and then society can get conditioning.
And we see it, sorry to interrupt you, but like I'm really thinking back to when I used to be in an empty car park with my friend, but I would see that house or that place and that car when we were pretending to drive, and they would as well. Or okay, let's get on our bikes, and like it, like wow, the imagination of a child. Like you'd know where the window is to open it, and then your friend would see where you would do it, and then they would do it. And this is not going off on a tangent, but I think you've really touched on something really powerful there of like children just know. And if we could tap back into that, obviously not saying go around your house now with, you know, and maybe that's why we have kids, to bring back that, you know, that incredible energy again.
Well, this is what I've observed for over 20 years with couples and families, is when you surrender to having children, they ignite that back.
Yes,
they awaken that. But I see a lot of parents, they fight that. They fight that process, and they actually become even more disconnected from their joy and their happiness, and they end up resenting the child rather than that surrendering process of bring me back to youth, bring me back to joy. And that's what I do. I bring people back to their inner Eden, because our joy is our essence. And like you were saying about, for practical reasons for people listening, everything's already in your body. It might be stored in the background somewhere, but it's like I said with this guy, I've known this feeling, I've known for years there's something about South Devon. I always thought it was a surfer dude. Apparently it's a mountain man. And I've always wanted to
Because I was thinking,
do...
I don't think there's snow next week, in the next couple of days.
In Devon.
Sorry.
Yeah, on Dartmoor.
See, I do listen.
Yeah, you do. I love it. But I've always had this bizarre draw to this sort of corridor in Devon. I actually went to Paynton when I was about 19, 20. I'd done my art. I'd been to art school and was like, right, I need to do something else. Oh, animals. I love animals. Oh, I'll go to Paynton Zoo and do an animal course. Because again, it was like my body I knew it made no sense, but I thought I want to go south. I feel like I have to go south. January, I go south. I have a complete upgrade activation when I'm in Devon for a month. Ironically, 20 minutes away from this guy. I'm going to be back there next week, and he lives in Devon, and I'm like, I'd happily move to Devon. And then another thing really weird, I keep talking about romance, we need love, we need more love in the world. So I looked on my Instagram the other day because I was like, shit, I actually put a post on there about a mountain man. So back in October, I was so determined. Like, I've been single for 5 years. I'm fucking done doing life on my own. Like, I need a man. Like, I want a man for obvious reasons. And I enjoy sex. Like, people don't talk about that. It's like, there's nothing wrong with enjoying being intimate with somebody. Exactly. And so back in October, I love taking the piss out of myself. Like, there's nothing more cathartic than taking the piss out of myself and my traumas and my crazy ass life. I love it. So I was taking the piss out of myself last October with this thing on Instagram, and I'd said, where's my mountain man? If you're out there, please inquire, DM me. And you know what? I might be meeting a proper mountain man. I was going to go up to Scotland for the summer. I just went up to the Peak District.
Wow.
And what's happened energetically between us in 2 weeks, I was like, this is the piece of myself I wanted to reclaim. And that's the thing with the travel, is I've been reclaiming these lost parts of myself. But back to your question with people, it's just like, trust the random knowings, trust that weird gut instinct that, do you know what, I don't know why I feel called to do this, but I'm just going to do it. Like, we've got to just follow those things. You know, like you said, there's visualizing, there's manifesting, there's law of attraction, but actually we have to take action. There's healing, but you get healing through action, through living, through interacting with life again. And sometimes we just have to follow these crazy ass urges. Like, I started wild camping in the back of my Defender because something just was like, I dated this guy who I'm now still friends with. 7 years ago, we sleep in the back of his Range Rover, and I thought, hang on a minute, there's something about this, I kind of like this. And then a couple of weeks later, my body was like, it was starting to kind of like spasm almost and contract, and it's like, you need to just go to Exmoor and just sleep in the back of your Defender, just do it. And I was like, yeah, but I've never done it, how do I do it? Like, what if I get attacked, what if I get raped, like, what if I die? And you know what, sleeping in the back of my Defender for the last 7 years has healed me in the most profound, unexpected way.
Beautiful. And you know what, just in you sharing that, all the fear and the anxiety, I actually heard something yesterday. We'll big up Tony Robbins right now. It was actually I think it was on the Small Knocks podcast. It was only a really small snippet. Wasn't even going to watch it. I don't know why I clicked on it, watched it, and he expressed something which I think ties into what you've just said of fearless. And he said, fearless is not, overcoming fear. It's fearless. And I just feel like that's what you just did. You still embraced it. It's not saying that you're like, oh, this was easy. It was a journey for you. But
I didn't sleep.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. And like, so I just think like, I don't know, I just love really when people emphasize like the real power of words beyond their definitions, and like even that word now I see it so differently. And there was one more thing that you just touched on that I really think would be valuable to the viewers that are getting these little intuitive nudges, if we like. And what it is when you said about Devon and this and this and this, what I think is really important to to really like emphasize and to be creative and joyful and curious about is, yes, okay, you've worked out that now the location has been revealed and that's making sense to you, but it could be someone's name, it could be so many things, and I think when we really open our mind and we don't attach to exactly what we think it is, that's when real as we said, the magic and joy for life comes in, because I think sometimes we think that it has to be this and only this way, and we literally miss what is literally right in front of us. So I don't know, I just thought that was a really powerful point to make.
I agree, because it was a video I did the other week where I'd had the plan to take up my Defender to the north, and the clutch went, and I ended up, thank God, was able to take my parents' car. And again, I was inspired to do a video of like, fuck the plan. Like, know your destination, know your goal, know your vision, know where you want to go in your body, know the feelings, know the actions you need to take, but the planning of it, how you want it to happen, you gotta chuck that out the door. You gotta chuck that out the door. And I don't know if your audience are aware of the human design. Like, you've got the arrows and we manifest differently. It's like you've got the specific manifestor and the non-specific. I'm non-specific, so for me, I actually find it more magical, because it's about the feelings and the sensations and the experience, but how it reveals itself in the 3D world is a surprise, because I don't know what it's going to look like. So it's not a case of a house with a red door and white windows. It's just a sensation in my body of how the home is going to make me feel when I walk through that door. Beautiful. And so no, I absolutely agree. And back to your fear thing, I love the quote. I forget her name. It's feel the fear and do it anyway. I love that quote.
What often, as you've so beautifully shared in so many different aspects of your own journey, even with that traumatic experience that happened in America, and then still returning back to America at a very pivotal and very very hard time in your life, but that really shows that often what's on the other side of fear is so much more than, and it's not, again, saying to people, like, obviously with the sum and everybody, but often I think the other side of fear really is the transformation that you're often seeking without knowing, and putting you in those right places, those right spaces, connections. Like, look how beautiful, other than the news you received the day before you were returning home. But it's almost like I'm not saying that experience, the nanny experience, is void now, but you went back and you healed that with a beautiful memory. And I think there's power in that, going back to sometimes those locations, or those
I do that a lot. I do. It's a weird, again, I've over the years, I'm like, why the fuck am I doing this to myself? And it's almost like it feels like I'm re-traumatizing myself, but I'm not. And I've done this a lot with exes as well, and I did it a couple of 5 years ago. I went back to a place in Wales where we'd had a lovely time, and my body felt called. It was like a pilgrimage. I just felt like I had to put myself back there, and I would cry, I would grieve, I would purge. And then I came back and I'd feel lighter. And like you say, sometimes we have to go back to these places to go through an initiation process to have that healing.
And sometimes it's not even a place, it's a smell, it's a song. And hear the lyrics differently again.
The songs.
Songs.
So powerful.
And I think they're, it's not saying it's for everyone, but I think there's some beauty in that, because why, have all of a sudden these almost like energetic obstacles because of a memory you have attached to someone or something. But I don't know, I just felt like that was something maybe that was someone might benefit from hearing that.
and also on, you know, to expand on that, it's like we're emotional beings. We're energetic beings that science is proving. So you've got emotions and energy. Well, energy is emotion, emotion is energy. It's the same thing. And so when you've got so much, let's just call it unhappy emotions, you have to find what works for you to process them, to metabolize them, to integrate them, embody them, to transmute them back into happiness, joy, and love. And this is what we're not taught, is that everything's transmutable.
And replaces, because as soon as you said that, what I realized is, I think very much and it's not called the healing journey or spiritual, we don't like, let's just kind of just be us and aside from just your own unique experience. But what someone once powerfully said to me, which I feel like you've just shared, is often and it isn't it, because I think our mind again is sometimes, you know, criticized, and you know, it's called like, you know, the negative this or that and the other, but actually our mind is working its power so as it knows what to do. So when you take something naturally, like if you think about matter and energy, if you know something's moving or something's there and then it's taken, there's a void. It's not there anymore. So the mind naturally is intensifying, because it's like, well, what now? Abort, you know. Whereas like what you so beautifully said is, if you can take it and put in something in replace of that, it kind of goes, oh, okay, you know, that's good. And just one other thing that you touched on, because I want to be really conscious of the time. I'm really appreciating this time with you and all that you've shared. Really, thank you. As someone once said as well, and I thought, oh my gosh, that is so powerful. You know, we say, what's the matter? It's not what's the matter, it's normally who's the matter. Because often, and again, no, I want us to be flexible with that as well, because I don't want it to be always about someone, but generally, like what we've just expressed, a smile brings back a memory, and memories are often linked to someone, you know, all these different things. And so so when usually we say that, even that in itself, what we've just spoke about, matter, what is matter? Matter is scientific, it's energy. And I just think, just now, when you really think into your body and that song or that experience or something, like even with the nanny, and it was an experience you had that was essentially linked to somebody, but you can go and you can change that. I think it's really, I really loved hearing that.
Thank you. Yeah, but again, it's just expanding on the music thing. There's over the years, so when my brother died, when I flew back, on a loop, I was listening to Enya, just on a loop on Enya in the plane, and I was crying my eyes silently, just bawling my eyes. Fuck knows what the guy thought next to me. And the air hostess, she was amazing, and I can laugh about this now because I think it's funny. But the air hostess comes by and she does it twice. She's like, "You all right?" It's like, I'm fine. I'm just like crying my eyes out. And then she comes back a couple of minutes later and she's like, "No, really, like, are you okay?" I was like, "Can I just have some tissues?" Like, typical British manner of, I didn't want to be an inconvenience, you know, I didn't want to make a scene. I was quietly sobbing and I said, "Can I just have some tissues, please?" Do you know what, in hindsight, I wish I'd said, "Yeah, I'm fucking miserable, my brother's just killed himself, can you put me into first class, please? That'd be really great." Can you give me
give me some privacy? Yeah.
But no, back to the music. So I was listening to Enya on loop, and it was very, very healing at the time. It really held me. And then after that, I couldn't listen to it for ages because it would take me back to that moment. And that's the thing, music is so powerful. And as a child, something happened to me, I don't know, I think it was last year, that catalyst, like, wow, he blew me open. I clearly needed it to then receive sacred union with this, hopefully this next guy in the next couple of weeks. And again, this frequency, I had to undo so much blocked, heavy, negative energy in my system from the traumas and everything. I've had to transmute and metabolize a shit ton of energy. So anyway, because like you say, when you've got crap in your life, there's no space for nice stuff. You got to get rid of the crap to allow the nice stuff,
externally and internally.
And
you know.
and so last year I just started listening to some old music. They're old-fashioned classics, but for years I couldn't listen to them because they just would remind me of my brother, and it was too painful. And then last year I went through something that I was like, oh my God, I love these songs again. And I transmuted something, so all of a sudden I could listen to these songs. And actually, do you know what? They're more powerful now than they were back years ago. That's the transformation.
Gorgeous. And it's ironic, isn't it, that something that was so special to you, and actually it really shows the power of trauma, because out of all of those years of all that happiness with your brother expressing, and those relationships of love where it was created, that memory, because of, you know, the experience that you had with that person, that deep trauma is so much stronger. And that really shows like how it doesn't matter how long the time is, something that's so strong can have such a strong hold of you. And that's why, you know, I appreciate all the work that you're doing. And I think if anyone's listening that really, you know, has heard things today and is just curious even more about finding out more about you and what you're creating, because I believe, you know, as much as possible, people can read the description, people can go on your website, but the real feel of you and your heart and what you're here to show up as, and what you know you've gone through in order to transmute into something good, that's something that, you know, a description and a bio can't, you know, it cannot create. So I just feel like people, you know, really listen to that little nudge inside and reach out, even if it's just that you've been moved by something that you've heard today, and share a little bit of love and joy and kindness to somebody. But really, it's been incredible having you as a guest. Thank you so much for sharing all that you shared, and there's so much more that I feel like we could continue talking. And yeah, there's so much that I still am very intrigued about, but equally I want to be conscious of our time. And I would love to hear, just this is me being nosy, but I'd love to hear how the next 3 days, or, you know, and so go. But I already can feel into it that yeah, it's your time, and I'm excited for you. And yeah, may you have the most beautiful adventure, and, you know, not label it as anything, just enjoy, and keep growing, and keep doing what you're doing, because it's incredible. And thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Shel Marie. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we can always do this again.
Absolutely. And just quickly, it doesn't have to be linked to anything that we've just talked about, but if there was someone who's listening right now that would really benefit from hearing something, what would you tell them?
Don't settle for anything less than your heart and soul wants for you.
Oh, no capping. Yes. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That's the magic that Zest is in.